Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the really incredible work of clinical psychologist Dr. Nicole LePera. We're going to decode exactly why our bodies seem to just hijack our relationships, and more importantly, how we can use somatic practices to finally take back control. So, if you've ever felt like you're stuck on autopilot in your romantic relationships or, reacting in ways you completely regret later, you are definitely in the right place. So let's start with a universally frustrating experience, all right? Why do we completely lose our minds when a partner doesn't text back? I mean, we've all been there. You send a perfectly casual text, a few hours go by, and suddenly your chest gets super tight. Instead of logically assuming they're just, stuck in a meeting, your mind starts racing with these worst-case relationship-ending scenarios, and you are caught in a total nervous system panic. You might intellectually know your partner's just busy, but your body, it's reacting as if you're in actual physical danger. So why does a simple unanswered text do this to us? Well, the answer actually lies in something called implicit emotional memories. These are patterns our bodies learned way before we even had the words to describe them. Think back to when we were infants. We were completely dependent on our caregivers, right? So our developing nervous systems were constantly asking this one vital question: is someone available when I reach for connection? And if the answer wasn't a consistent yes, our bodies had to learn to adapt. What this means, and I really want you to hear this with radical empathy, is that your relationship overreactions, they aren't personality flaws. They are literally physiological memories stored deep in your nervous system from childhood.
Okay, let's look at Section 1, the roots of our reactions.
Think about it kind of like an autopilot system. Back in childhood, if being agreeable was the absolute only way to avoid explosions or keep the peace at home, that was actually a brilliant survival strategy. But flash forward to adulthood, and that exact same adaptation becomes exhausting at people-pleasing. It's saying yes to your partner when you desperately mean no, or if you only got connection when you succeeded as a kid, you naturally grow into a perfectionist adult who constantly overworks, subconsciously believing that achievement literally equals love. If you had to manage your parents' unpredictable moods, you become this anxious, over-responsible adult who's just constantly on guard in your relationships. It's wild, but the behaviors that once kept you safe are the exact same struggles that are draining your energy today. Moving right along to Section 2, why insight is not enough. And this brings us to what is honestly a massively frustrating part of personal growth. It's that realization that knowing exactly why you do something absolutely does not stop you from doing it. Dr. LePera noticed that her clients were incredibly self-aware. They knew their trauma, they knew their relationship patterns inside and out, but they were still completely stuck. Why? Because insight just isn't enough. You can analyze your childhood all day long, but your nervous system doesn't change through thought alone. It requires a new somatic, meaning bodily, experience. See, by the time your logical mind boots up to remind you that your partner is probably just busy, your body's already flooded with all those old survival responses. So why does this happen? It's simple but kind of profound. Your nervous system prioritizes survival over logic. Every single time. To a nervous system that grew up in chaos or disconnection, unpredictability is literally terrifying. Even if your old habits are super toxic, they're familiar. And to the body, familiar equals safe. So when you try to change, like when you try to respond calmly to your partner instead of yelling, your nervous system actually treats that unknown new behavior as a high-stress threat. And that right there is exactly why we regress to our old explosive childhood codes during moments of high relationship stress. Which brings us to Section 3, the 4 reparenting pillars. So how do we update that internal operating system so our bodies stop hijacking our brains? We do it through a practice called reparenting. Basically, this means becoming the steady, supportive presence for yourself that you probably didn't have growing up. And it really boils down to 4 essential pillars. First step is safety. This is the absolute foundation, guys, because until you can calm your body in the present moment, your nervous system will never allow you to make a new choice. Second is consistency. Your nervous system relaxes when things are predictable, which just means showing up for yourself time and time again. Third is compassion. We've got to replace that harsh internal shaming voice with genuine understanding. And fourth, boundaries. Creating new limits to protect your time and energy so you can actually show up for your partner as a grounded adult, instead of just reacting to them out of pure exhaustion. Let's get practical with Section 4, reparenting in relationships. So what does this actually look like when you're actively triggered by your partner? Think back to that unanswered text we talked about earlier. In a triggered state, you aren't really an adult anymore. You're reacting completely from the overwhelm of your inner child.
Your mind is spinning these wild rejection stories, your breathing gets shallow and fast, your heart rate spikes, and your muscles tense up. You are physiologically preparing to fight or flee. But the somatic response, that is where the magic happens. Instead of acting on that instinct to send like 10 angry follow-up texts, you intentionally shift your focus away from your phone and into your body. You just simply notice the physiological flood happening inside you, totally without judgment.
I'm actually going to slow down my pace a bit here, because slowing down is exactly what your body needs in this moment. Step 1, notice the tension in your jaw. Notice the rapid pace of your breath. Just observe it. Step 2, pause. Do not pick up the phone. Instead, take a breath in and purposefully lengthen your exhale. Making your exhale longer than your inhale literally signals to your brain that you are safe. Step 3, as your body begins to settle, gently remind yourself from your adult mind that silence does not automatically equal rejection or abandonment. By walking through these steps, you actually interrupt the survival pattern and give yourself the space to make a conscious, intentional choice.
And finally, Section 5, building daily inner security.
Now, if we want this calm, grounded response to be our new default state, and not just some one-off trick, Dr. LePera suggests a really powerful practice. It's the daily check-in. She urges us to set an alarm on our phones and do this just 1 or 2 times a day. When the alarm goes off, you pause and ask yourself 2 super simple questions. 1, what am I feeling in my body right now? Notice your breath, your heart rate, your muscles. And 2, what do I need in this moment? Maybe you just need a glass of water or a 5-minute break away from your screen, or honestly, just to stretch your shoulders. But here is the most crucial part. You have to actually act on what you need. If you notice you need a break, but you push through and ignore it anyway, you're essentially betraying yourself. By repeatedly noticing your needs and acting on them, you rebuild your self-trust from the ground up.
And guys, this brings us to such an incredibly empowering takeaway. If you're sitting there right now thinking, you know what, I'm way too old to change, or I've been anxious in every relationship my whole life, it's just who I am, well, science says otherwise. Thanks to neuroplasticity, our brains are not hardwired in stone. Every single time you pause during a trigger, every time you choose to lengthen your exhale, and every time you actually honor a boundary, you are physically teaching your nervous system a brand new outcome. You can literally rewire your childhood patterns and transform at absolutely any age. It is never, ever too late to teach your body that it is finally safe. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final question to really chew on. What small boundary will you set, or what specific need will you honor today to signal to your own nervous system that you are finally safe? You don't have to fix the whole shebang overnight. The real shift begins with just one single moment of connection with yourself. So what's it going to be today?